I think, there's definitely hair pulling involved and sometimes tears, sometimes yelling, but it comes with the project. If it's not worth the pain, then it's, probably not worth doing. My name is Rosslyn Kasman, and I'm the owner of Rosslyn Kasman Design. I'm a small studio based in San Francisco. I basically do graphic design, mostly packaging, print work, corporate identity, branding, web. Peacock Parfumerie is a spin-off of Rosy Rings, which is a home fragrance line. My client wanted to start a perfume line which would cater to a different audience. It's supposed to be for mid-market, not something high-end. It's supposed to be a product that you would buy for your best friend, for your mom, your sister, your friends. We talked about what Peacock Parfumerie would represent. Vintage, kind of romantic, bohemian feel. I worked on a lot of different comps, different design directions. We used peacock imagery, we used abstract imagery, we used line drawings, different things. It ended up that doing a more abstract look, something that gave a slight nod to a peacock's tail, ended up working the best. In order to kind of keep the price down, we used a stock bottle. And one of the challenges was that we used a very small perfume bottle. Not common for other perfumes you see at retailers, which made the packaging a challenge. Well, from concept to completion, this project took about 8 months. So after brainstorming and meeting with the client and figuring out how we wanted this brand to be perceived, I moved forward with comps. In the meantime, we were also researching what kind of structure we wanted to use for the box. It involved with looking at a lot of what was currently out in the market, looking at competitors, and kind of figuring out how we could distinguish our own packaging, make this product stand out, make it unique, have it be eye-catching, but also something that would be within my client's budget. Our initial budget was pretty small. We wanted to create a really simple packaging. It wasn't that well received. The main comment that we got back was that the packaging needed to be fancier, it needed to stand out more, just because this industry is really competitive. That took us back to the drawing board. We looked at working with vendors here in the US as well as printing in China. That's how we found Heather at Calitho. I was able to work with her and explore different prototypes, different structures. I had a basic idea of how the box should be. I wanted something unique, not just a flat carton. It had to be able to fold flat to minimize shipping costs to my client that's in Denver.
Basically, what I got from Rosslyn was, this is the perfume bottle and this is about the size I want. The biggest challenge was the box was bigger than the bottle. How do you keep the bottle in the box from moving around and looking like it wasn't meant to be? Part of the packaging also is the riser that we need to put inside to have the perfume bottle come up, and then because it's clear, the bottle's clear, you see the riser through there. So there was a lot of back and forth in design as well as building the boxes. And the first boxes that you did were much smaller, and these we were expanding the footprint a little bit more so that it was more impactful, I think, for your client to put them on shelves.
One of the ways to differentiate each of the different scents was to do a color story based off that scent name and what that color would evoke. So we used a deep, gorgeous, rich magenta for allure, a cyan kind of turquoise for daydream, and a bold red for courage. The color story really came off of the idea of using a ribbon to tie the front panel to the box. I have a great Midori ribbon swatch that we kind of pick the colors for that match each of the scent names. So from there we kind of pick the color palette to kind of match the ribbon colors. We were still going back and forth between coated and uncoated, so I literally had to pick the uncoated color and the coated color that would match each ribbon. So it was, and as every designer knows, the colors never match up. So it was a lot of work and time, but I think the color really sells the product and it really tells the story of that scent. My client and I went back and forth a lot about the stock that we wanted to use. We initially wanted to do coated, but as we progressed down the road, we realized that the uncoated sheet was a much better fit for this line because it's meant to capture a kind of an artisan boutique perfume line, and you always have a much higher boutique feel with an uncoated sheet, something that's more tactile and toothy. The colors are really rich and heavy on the sheet.
Our challenge on the paper side was initially we had quoted on a C1S, C2S kind of stock, and then when Rosslyn came back and said, okay, we need to do something that's uncoated, it's the challenge to find something that's similar priced. So we looked at all the different uncoateds, the different weights, the different cost levels, and really the Nina one was great for scoring and folding and all the things that we needed.
My idea for this job was to do 9 spot colors, do a double hit black, and do a gold foil, which is already quite elaborate for packaging, not to mention the intricate die cut that's involved. It wasn't until I spoke with Heather and the project progressed along more that she had suggested the idea of trying UV printing.
Well, the benefits on the uncoated is the vibrancy of the color, which I think you will agree with, that we got a lot more color on the sheet. We had a lot of challenges on the PMS colors because there were 9 special, so we were basically matching them to a PMS color, yes, but also to the ribbon. So she spent hours and hours, I know, taking these ribbons and trying to find just the right PMS color. Then what we did was we took that PMS color, we did drawdowns, and we tried to get as close as we could.
I tried to go to every press check that's local. This specific project was 3 different forms, 9 different boxes, so it took most of the day. And then I went to the foil check after that as well.
And the foil check, we had a bit of challenge because of timeline. We had to foil it right away, so we only had a few days, but the black is 2 hits of black, and it's a lot of black, so the black wasn't fully dry. So when we put the foil on top, there was a little bit of picking and weirdness going on. All in all, it just needed a bit more drying time because of the amount of ink we put on there.
The piece was very well received. They were very excited to see it. It was a very complex job and very colorful. They were very pleased, and I think what they liked about it was that it was very flexible and that it could ship flat and it could be assembled on site. And the structure itself is pretty sturdy, so it's not susceptible to a lot of shelf wear at retailers and showrooms. Well, I guess the biggest lesson learned is you can never have too much lead time working on a project. Anything's going to go wrong on even a simple project, it will. And this was a very complex project. I want to say things went wrong, I mean, just from the beginning. From the initial design to getting that initial one scrapped, exploring the different prototypes, to the paper not coming in time, to the inks not drying.
Well, and the other hard part too is budget. I mean, our budget was pretty much set in stone. And so it's like, how do we make it work within the budget? And that's why we checked all the papers, we did everything. And we almost didn't do it UV because UV is a little bit more expensive. But I think that Bauman made the commitment to do it UV because he felt that is the right way to do this project. And so it made sense. Bring it on! Isn't that funny how you get one from her and one from me? I have to say, this is the stuff I love. This is why I do what I do, and she's like, stay away from it. I have to say it was one of my most favorite projects I've ever worked on, mainly because I felt we worked well as a team, and production on our end and your client on your end, all of us figured out how to make it work.
It always sounds better in your head. No, this job is definitely worth it. I think, there's definitely hair pulling involved and sometimes tears, sometimes yelling, but it comes with the project. If it's not worth the pain, then it's, probably not worth doing.